All right, folks, we're about to go live. We're about to go live. We are about to go live. You're live with Lonzo, the Godfather of West Coast Hip Hop, and my man Dusty Vision. We do this every Tuesday about this time, folks. And like I say, every week, here we go. From the West Coast to the East Coast and everything about this time, folks. Even like I say, everything in the park. Live with Lonzo, the Godfather of West Coast Hip Hop. And my main man in the dugout with all the posters in the background. Dusty Vision, y'all. Dusty Vision. What it be like, Dusty?
Man, can't complain one bit. How you doing?
You know what, man? It's getting better, dude. It's getting better. When I touched down from Maryland last week, I had so much going on. I didn't know whether I was coming or going, but nowadays it's starting to slow down a little bit. I'm almost back to normal. Almost back to normal. Talk to me.
How was Maryland? I know you stepped in for a little coffee break, but how was it?
Maryland was fantastic, man. It was very enlightening. I learned a lot of stuff about community leadership. I don't know why for the last few years I've been involved in a lot of community leadership programs. And this was another one that I really enjoyed going to. Learned a lot about dealing with people, politics, the whole 9 yards. So it was right on time. Cannot complain.
That's dope, man. Was it in Baltimore?
Yeah. Baltimore at the Baltimore Convention Center.
Yeah.
Only bad part about it was the damn plane ride back, man. It was bumpy as hell. Oh, dude. I could have swore I saw the flight attendant grabbing her parachute, man. Like, where you going?
Man, I'm glad you made it back safe.
Compartment fumbling. I said, "Are you grabbing your parachute? You know something I don't know." Shit.
Love it, man. Love it, man. Before we get started, shout out to the chat, man. Shout out to the loyal subscribers that we have. We have a lot, I should say, new listeners from our show last week with Jaguar Wright. So thank you to all the new listeners who are in, and I hope you guys stick around for a very long time. And for a lot of people who don't know, this is Alonzo Williams, the Godfather of West Coast Hip Hop. He is responsible for the careers of many, many artists, many West Coast artists that we listen to this day. Icons such as Ice Cube, Eazy-E, KD, King T. All these guys made it through Lonzo's studio, Lonzo's presence. So put some respect on my dude's name, man. And if you don't know, now you know. And please check out some of the videos. We have a lot of cool stories about Eazy-E, a lot of cool stories about N.W.A, and a lot of cool stories about world-class wrecking crew, the originators of this West Coast stuff. So I just want to give that out there to all the new listeners who, maybe joining for the second time. Alonzo?
All good. I appreciate the plug, Doc. I appreciate it.
Yeah. November was a very important month last year, November 2023. And I can't believe I'm saying it's November 2024, but you talked about this a little bit in your recent appearance on Bomb First with Reggie Wright, which we're going to get into as well. But 1 year ago, Easy Street was added to the city of Compton with your help, your presence, you took the bull by the horns and made it happen. Tell everybody why you picked Easy Street and not Eazy-E Street for people that don't understand the behind the scenes of things.
We had a couple of different choices. I did a little survey on social media, and Easy Street, it fit real well with people. There's an Easy Street in Compton in Long Beach, but it's EASY. And second of all, we couldn't get a response fast enough from the folks in charge that really control that name. And I knew we were kind of had a time limit. Financially, we had limits on the money, and I didn't want to get into a legal battle. Legal or licensing battle. So we just dropped the E one with Easy. And if you noticed, even on the T-shirts, we have references to Easy, the Lokes, the Compton hat, the Sticks 4, just things that, that when you see these things, it references what Eazy-E represented, and that kept us out of lawsuits and all type of extra legal affairs that we just didn't have the time or the money for. So everybody loves it, and we're gonna keep pushing forward with it, Doc.
Yeah. What's next for Compton? Because I know you have a lot of big plans for Compton. What do you want to do next?
Man, I'm working on working to adopt that roundabout right by Easy Street. Looking to adopt that and redo that, clean it up, make it a part of our tourist attraction. We're also looking to create a community garden right there by Home Depot, and possibly take that whole wall that's right by the Metro Center and make that another mural, or just a long mural of various icons from the city of Compton. So we got a lot planned for Compton. We're trying to get ready for the Olympics, man. As a Compton Entertainment, the president of the Compton Entertainment Chamber of Commerce, one of my things is to try and bring some tourism to Compton. People love Compton from all over the world, but Compton got to give them something to look at, and that's what we're working on.
For those who don't know, who are some of the people that come from the city of Compton? Celebrities, ball players.
Man, DeMar DeRozan, Kendrick Lamar, Roddy Ricch, Dr. Dre, of course, Easy, myself, Yella, Ren, Anthony Anderson. Man, the list goes on and on. In fact, I was at a store in Compton, a restaurant in Compton today. The Game is from Compton, and the restaurant is called Planet Health. On the walls of Planet Health is murals of everybody I just mentioned, plus more people. I mean, what's his name? Comedian cat. Zeus is from Compton.
That's
Zeus
right.
from Friday.
Also known as
AJ.
Debo.
Yeah, Debo. AJ Johnson from Friday and a few other movies, also from Compton. So Compton gave birth Scruncho from Long Beach. Scruncho from Long Beach. I'm sorry. But yeah, a lot of people.
Lisa Leslie. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah. So
obviously
it just
the Williams sisters.
Yes. So I mean, we can sit here and do this for a while, man. So it's just It's just amazing how much of a legacy Compton has, and I guess for my justification is because there's so many other things that have to be addressed that nobody has time to address it. We got to address potholes and trimming trees. So I took it upon myself to try and do some things in Compton that's going to make the legacy stand out and be a tourist attraction for people from around the world.
Let's talk Compton tonight a little bit more. Let's go into it specifically since you were on Bomb First. Shout out to Bomb First. That's BOMB #1 ST Bomb First. They have a lot of great content over there. And Reggie Wright is one of your personal friends. Not only that, you do have a relationship with his father as well. And we have a great interview right here on the channel. Just type in Reggie Wright and Alonzo Williams, and I'm sure you'll find the interview on the first page. But let's talk about the Wrights, man. First, let's talk about Senior.
Okay.
How did you meet Senior? Did you meet Senior through Junior, or was it the opposite?
Nah, I met Senior through my cousin Philip Bailey, rest his soul. Philip Bailey ran the security for the Compton swap meet, and he's my first cousin. My mom and his mom are sisters, and when I decided to go do doodles, I called him up. Hey, man, I need some security that's going to be respected over here at Doodles. And Reggie was a part of that team. Reggie, Huey Taylor, a couple other cats were part of that team. And Reggie and I just hit it off because Reggie's a real cool dude. He's a very cool dude. And, he's one of those guys, the gangbangers know if you get arrested by Reggie, he's just doing his job. It ain't nothing personal. He's going to give you a shot. He's going to give you a chance to make it right. But if you just insist on being stupid, he got something for you too. And, I wanted somebody that can diffuse things, but also be respected at the same time. And Reggie brought that flavor to Doodles and everything I did at Skateland as well. Plus,
go ahead.
Plus, he was in charge of the gang detail in Compton, so he knew everybody.
Okay. Was he involved in the music industry at that time when you first met him, or did that come later?
The dad never was involved in the music industry.
I'm sorry. I'm talking about Junior. We'll talk about Junior later. Keep talking about the dad. My bad. I got him confused.
The dad never was involved, to my knowledge, in the music industry. His pretty much his extent for the music industry was working with me at Doodles. As far as I know, he may have done some other things, but as far as I know, the dad he worked with me at Doodles and at Skateland. We opened up those two venues, to my knowledge. He may have did anything else. I ain't aware of it.
What kind of guy was Senior like?
He's super cool, man. He's real laid back dude. Like I said, he's the kind of guy that if he knows you up to no good, he give you a chance to walk away. Okay. Hey man, don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. Let it go, whatever the case may be. And you got a choice to make. You can, you can attempt to do what you're gonna do, or walk away and try again another day. And that was something everybody respected from him. He wasn't like a lot of sheriffs could come in. Everything is by the book. He was more. No disrespect, no clown. He was more of an Andy Griffith type cat. He talked to you first. You got an option. Hey man, you see me standing right here. You see us standing right here. We're not gonna let you do what you're thinking about doing. You might want to go home and let this go tonight. All right, man. All right, Reggie. Much love. Okay. And that's the kind of relationship he had with folks. But also he would do his job when necessary, and they respected him for that.
Playing devil's advocate, it must have been pretty hard being a cop back in the 80s and 90s in Compton, would you say?
I would say that definitely, man. It's been hard being a cop anywhere. Anywhere back in the day. You had a lot of new things was happening in the 80s, man. Nobody ever seen crack before. Nobody ever seen gangs like this before. When gangs was fired up back in my day, if one guy, if there was 20 guys and there was one pistol in the whole bunch, that was a phenomenon. Okay. Pistols were not part of the everyday activity. If you had access to a gun, maybe one guy may have carried it for the most part. Everybody wasn't strapped. And then at some point in time, everybody got strapped. So, and then they came with artillery. It wasn't just about 38s and 22s like we had. These guys got AKs and semi-automatic weapons and shit, Uzis, and it changed everything, dude. Then the sheer numbers of being a cop, you got outnumbered fast back in the 80s, man, because everybody became a gangbanger. At least they wanted to be one when the money came into it. So you had to make some adjustments real fast just to survive on the streets.
Yeah, I can't remember what year it was. Maybe you can, but Compton literally led the country in per capita murders, right?
I think it was in the 90s, man.
I'm trying to blurt that word out.
Per capita.
Yeah, 91, 92, 90. I think 90. For some reason, I think 91.
Per 1,000 people, Compton had more murders per 1,000 than any city in the country. We were like number one for a while, dude. It was averaging 150, 200 murders a year at one point in time, man. Bodies was falling, dude. Bodies was falling. And, it was really, really a rough time to be in business. You had to have off-duty cops to hold down a venue, man, because you couldn't trust rental cops. They had to have something that was going to be instantaneous and preventive at the same time. So having cops at your venue, at your door, standing right there, when the shit jump off, I ain't got to call nobody. I'm already here. And that alleviated a bunch of problems for me at Dudos and Skateland.
Yeah, because Eve was right in the middle. And of course, we've talked about this in the past. But once again, we have new listeners, so we're trying to reintroduce a few things. But the Eve was right in the middle of Piru Hood. And Dudos also is in the same building. Skateland. Now, where were they? Like, what hood area were they in?
Wait, let's back up. Eve was in blood territory. Dudos and Skateland was Piru. Okay,
they were. That's right. Sorry.
Dudos and Skateland were right next door to each other. One is 1900, one was 1950. If you hopped over the fence in Dudos, you was gonna land in Skateland's parking lot. And if you hopped over the fence the other direction in Dudos, you was gonna be in the Piru boys' backyard. Just like that, dude. It was unheard of, unprecedented. Nobody would do it. They tried it. Somebody got killed years before I did Dudos, and I went back over there. That's all I heard, man. Tam got killed at Dudos. Okay, that was in the 70s, though, man. Why we tripping on that? Why we still stuck on that? That was a long time ago. And it just marred it. It just marred Dudos from any teen events. And I had been to a couple of small events upstairs. Dudos had an upstairs small room at Centennial. We had a couple of homecoming dances or one of our dancers up there. I thought it was a cool spot. Again, I wasn't in that gang banging circle, so it didn't really, didn't affect me like it affected some of the gangbangers. And then the older guys that ran with that, they wouldn't come up there. They didn't, that wasn't the spot they did. It was more, it became doodles mostly for kids, and that made a big difference because again, guys my age, they came through there, but they didn't stay. They didn't stay. A lot of them are on the team for our security.
Now let's talk about Reggie Wright Jr. Was he involved in the music industry when you first met him? Was he already in it? Talk to us about him a little bit.
I met Reggie Wright Jr. He had just joined the PD, Compton PD, and I didn't really know him that well. The next thing I know, he had got hurt and he started working for Death Row. When I first became aware of him more so when he got on my personal radar, he was more working for Death Row, and I think he had acquired an injury while he was a Compton PD, and that gave him some time off to get more involved in Death Row, to my knowledge. Allegedly, I'm gonna put it like that.
Okay. There were white cops on the Compton force back then. Who were some of the popular white cops? I know there were a couple of names that are infamous to this day.
Blondie, I forgot the other guy's name. Blondie, I remember distinctly because I just finished an audio book written by a friend of mine. She had wrote a audio book called Once Upon a Time in Compton. And that was a name, one of my other documentaries that I did a long time ago. And I want to see what she had to say. And these cats were pretty accurate, man. They were very accurate. I never met them. I don't recall meeting them. They were detectives, so I didn't really have any interaction with detectives. And when they were cops, we didn't cross paths to my knowledge. All my guys, I had one white cop that worked for me at Dudos, and that was Lieutenant Elvis. And he just come to hang out just because there was something to do, and to avoid traffic. He lived out in Orange County or something like that. And he would come to Dudos and worked at Friday night and just cruise on in after traffic died down. But I never had any white boys work for me. I can't recall meeting Blondie or the other gentleman during my time at Dudos. If I did, it didn't stick.
I think the other guy was Robert Ladd.
Right.
Blondie
Okay.
and Robert, seemed to be synonymous.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But okay, so kind of talking more about being a cop. What went into you trusting someone and hiring someone to work and do security at your clubs? Like, what went into that process?
You know what, man? The first thing is a sense of responsibility. When people drop their kids off to an event that you're giving, they expect them to come back and get in the car without no holes, no scratches, like anything else. When you move furniture, I don't want my furniture all scratched up, but I want my kid all scratched up. So having a sense of responsibility and talking to people, I usually would use older guards to keep them off the girls. Ain't nothing worse than an old man trying to hit on them young ass girls. And you dropping the guys off, dropping your daughter off at a club, and there's some guy with his eyes bucked out, can't wait to holler at her. No, we're gonna do that. And I did have a couple of guys that were young, but they held themselves pretty well. My main guy, BJ, he was in my documentary. He was my undercover guy. His job was just to bust dope dealers trying to sell dope in the club. He loved his security. He loved his position as an undercover security guard. He loved that position. He was I can't think of he was serious about this. You put it that way. I had another dude who we talked about the other day, David. I think his name was Porter, and I didn't know David. He was a Muslim, and this dude carried a Tech 9 all the time, and he eventually had to quit because I found out later his day job was robbing dope dealers. That was his day job, running up on dope dealers. Okay. And one night he came and I thought, I got to go right now. So what's wrong, man? I got to go. I'll tell you about it later. I got to go. And somebody allegedly recognized him and he feared for his life. And I never saw him again. I know he eventually went to jail, but I never talked to him again about that situation. But yeah, he came back. He did let me know that, hey man, this is what I do. I saw some people out that I think they have recognized me before they make a phone call. I'm getting out of here. So I don't want to bring no problem to the club. No problem whatsoever, Doc. Oh yeah, that was his hustle. That was his hustle. He when he got out, he rode the bus, and when he got off the bus, he'd have a big ass gym bag. In that gym bag would be a Tech 9 at all times. Then he would take it and strap it on like the Secret Service. He had a shoulder holster for it. It was very intimidating.
You know, I didn't even know, or I guess put it together, that selling dope inside of a club was big business. Was that something that you had to deal with often? And what was the main drug that you were confiscating, or they were confiscating?
Back then it was mostly Sherm, man. It was mostly Sherm. That was the drug of choice at that time, and you didn't want that nowhere near your building, man. That making some bitch go crazy, have butt naked on Avalon, flying like slapping his arm like a goddamn chicken.
No, and it stinks like a mother.
Man, it stinks like a son of a gun. And I never had any problems anybody smoking in the club, but you know they would sell it, and then they get high later on, and it'd be in the parking lot. Oh, it was a mess. Plus, the old man, that was the first thing he told me when I got to Eve. I don't know goddamn drugs in my club. God damn it! If the first time I have drugs in my club, you out of here. The old man always had me on pins and needles. He had me on pins and needles every time. You know, if we have a fight, you're out of here. If somebody starts some shit, you out of here. God damn, I didn't even do nothing. So I was always trying to head off any potential problem because I enjoyed making that money, man. That was a great time in my life.
That's a different time, man. That pins and needles doesn't exist nowadays with kids. They'll F off a good thing, you know what I'm saying? To where you're like, man, I need this. I'm a rock with this. And what, 30, 40 years later, however long you took it.
I mean, again, dude, when you have been equipped with a sense of responsibility, and I think that's something that people don't really have anymore. A lot of kids, a lot of youngsters don't have a sense of responsibility because you don't have to have one anymore. Everything is somebody else's fault. Everything is somebody else's problem. If I'm a fat fart and it's not my problem. If I'm useless, it's not my problem. I'm just doing me. You're a hater if you don't like what I do. You're lazy, you fuck. Or you're just a hater because I don't move as fast as you. No, you don't. So yeah, man, I was instilled with a sense of responsibility before I got to Eve After Dark. The last thing I want to do is somebody's kid come up hurt, dead, or at one of my events. That was a kiss of death, man, for a venue. For somebody to get hurt at your venue was a kiss of death, dude. And I've been very blessed when it comes to my venues. I had one situation in the 90s, the 2000s that marred one of my venues. I was on my way out anyway, but for the most part, all the events I've done, all the Alpine Village, Dudo, Skateland, Eve After Dark, Queen Mary, Biltmore Hotel. Everybody went home the same way they came in.
One piece,
no holes.
Yeah, that's deep, man. Well, glad everything worked out in that positive favor. Go ahead.
No, me and Unknown just had this conversation right before I just started this podcast. He was saying, man, you remember when we had competition for teen dance? I said, man, nobody wants to risk their whole livelihood, everything they built on these irresponsible, trigger-happy kids these days. You'll have one event and be in a lawsuit the matter of seconds, man. You'll get, man, come on, dude. If you ever had to fight for everything you own and didn't do nothing, you understand why certain people won't even think about it. It's not enough money involved for it. It's not enough money to deal with the headache, to deal with the security, to deal with the disrespect. Not enough money in it for me, dude. Mm-mm.
Not necessarily your security, but you had advice to your crew that worked with you at your clubs about if you're getting your ass whooped and they don't jump in, what happens?
Everybody finna get fired. If you see me getting my ass whooped and y'all ain't beat up too, everybody I'm having a new crew on Monday. I'm gonna have a new crew. I don't no. At least get him off of me. This new shit about taking pictures while I'm getting my ass whooped. You got to be out of your mind. I mean, because back in the day, man, you know, it was different, dude. If a problem jumped off at the eve, I had to be at the forefront to make sure. One, I'm trying to witness what's going on. If my security guard had a problem, I went to his aid to make sure that whatever story is going to be told, it's going to be backed up. Number one. Number two, if it's going down, I'm going down with him. I got to try and keep, he's first line of defense. But if it gets too heavy, it's a team effort now. Most of the time, we got away with it. Most of the time, most of my guards, I used to have about 3 to 4 guards, depending on what I was doing. And the beautiful thing about the Eve, because it was a community, it was a hood place. The boys in the hood, when that doesn't happen, they Lonzo, get back, man. We got this. Many a days. Hey, man, don't worry about that, dog. We got this. So, but sometimes it wasn't like that. Hey, man, it was all hands on deck. Whether you got on a 3-piece suit or a pair of knickknicks and a pair of tight-ass pants, you had to jump down, get down at one time. I got into it with some folks, and my boys, I couldn't find nobody. I'm sweating, and where y'all been, man? We was at the bar. Nigga, ain't nothing to sell. I was in the middle of a tussle, and y'all wasn't there. Let it happen again and see what happened.
Yeah, that's a good rule, man. Yeah, and we're almost halfway through, so I'm going to do a quick reminder and ask everyone to hit that like button if you haven't already. It really helps out the algorithm, helps YouTube know that we exist. And please hit that subscribe button if this is your first time joining the channel and you're entertained by what you hear. We have a lot of great content on this channel, so go down that rabbit hole. You are tuned into N.W.A. Stories with Lonzo. Shout out to the chat. I see all the questions you guys are posting. I'm copying and pasting all of them, so I'll make sure we get to them before the end of the show. But the next thing I want to talk about, Lonzo, is our interview from last week, man. That is one of our bigger interviews numbers-wise. It's just blowing up. Seeing people do clips of it online and stuff like that and react to it and stuff like that. So anyone who doesn't know, we interviewed JAGUAR WRIGHT last week. JAGUAR WRIGHT is a singer who did a lot of music with a lot of people, Jay-Z's to the Diddy's, to the Mary J. Blige's, to everybody. But she has a very controversial background, and she was one of the first people to out Diddy, years ago. Next thing we know, a lot of the stuff that JAGUAR WRIGHT said a few years prior came to fruition and came to be true. But what are your general thoughts on our interview with JAGUAR last week?
I thought it was very interesting, man. I like to get people from a more personal standpoint, and that's why I was able to find out that she's engaged to my partner. I like people not just do the typical shit. I hate when people have me on their show do the typical shit. And she did her thing, but she also opened up personally, and that's the part that people forget. She's a human being. She has experiences, and she has a lot of information, but also she's a human being, and she has feelings, and she goes through things, and she fell in love with my partner. That's deep. In fact, I spoke to him yesterday. They just found him a spot. They finna rent him a spot and start playing house. More power to him. And but also she got a hell of a story to tell. She knows everybody back east. She's worked with Jill Scott, Jay-Z, a lot of folks, and she's seen up close and personal the debauchery that some of these folks are into. And she's also participated in some things too. So, she said some things on the air last week that blew up. I didn't know that she was bisexual. Okay. She told me that. She blew me away. So when people feel comfortable and you let them flow, and that's what I like to do when I have a guest, I like for my guests to flow. I don't want to interrupt them with a bunch of extra questions, because a lot of times you give somebody a layup and they'll roll with it, depending on what the question is and how comfortable they are with you.
Yeah, I think it was a very nice and smooth interview. And like you said, just asked her normal questions, and then she went and did her thing. And those are the parts that are getting a lot of attention.
Yep.
Yeah, so shout out to JAGUAR WRIGHT, man. That was a great interview. Anyone who didn't get to check it out, please do. check it out in our archives. It should be one of the latest videos. And anyone who doesn't know how YouTube works, you can either look up the videos or you can look up the lives. This would be on the live. So this video right here will be live, and what I do throughout the week is I put clips on our video section. So if you want the clips, you go to the video section. If you want the live, the full video live, you go to the live section. Just let you know how YouTube works.
I got to give you much love for doing it, Dusty, because I don't have time, dude. You know, folks don't realize how much time it takes to run an effective YouTube channel, to do the editing, to go through all these videos and do the clips. And I want to personally thank you in front of everybody for doing what you do for this channel right here, man. Because without you, it couldn't be the way it is right now. And I appreciate you.
Appreciate you for noticing that, man. And man, I knew when I met you that this was going to be a long journey, and I'm very, very excited. I mean, I feel like this is only the beginning. So yeah, man, let's keep it pushing, man. And thanks to our listeners, man. We got a great, I got to say one thing about your audience, Lonzo. You have a legit, loyal audience, man. We don't have a lot of ding dongs that pop in. You know what I mean?
This ain't for ding dongs, man. This is not ding dong material. Okay. If you want some old ass gangbanger rhetoric and shit like that don't really ain't gonna affect your life and nothing positive, this ain't the channel for you. If you want to hear some real grown ass man enlightenment or hear some real shit that's gonna have an impact on you, this is where you need to come. Anything else? We got our sections of the niggerverse, but for the most part, that's not our meat and potatoes. That's just something we do because unfortunately that's just the nature of the beast. But for the most part, I'm too old to be dabbling at rhetoric, Doc. I can't do it.
Yeah, I hear you. You know, I want to.
Maybe I should do like Charleston White, start talking more shit and go and give me some real money. You know, I could do that shit too, but that ain't what I do.
And people, it's easy to go viral. Like, people think it's hard to go viral. It's pretty damn easy to get views. You just got to do the dumb shit. But Lonzo and I refuse to do the dumb shit, and that's why we're here, and that's why we got this our loyal circle audience, and I'm happy with that, man. It'll come in the future. I'm in it for the long haul.
All I gotta say is fuck Charleston White. Somebody gonna take that clip, go send it to Charleston. He gonna talking shit about me. We gonna go back. I like Charleston White. I think he's hilarious. He makes a lot of good points. He says it in a crazy way, but he makes a lot of good points. I can't roll with the Confederate flag thing, but I know why he doing it. I know why he doing it.
Views, okay? All that.
If you understand the internet, and somebody told me, and I said this before, when I first started doing podcasting, I took a class first, and I asked the instructor. The instructor said, if you want to have a successful YouTube channel, you have to be prepared to embarrass yourself or relinquish your dignity. I said, ain't no way in the world we can keep our dignity and still have a new YouTube channel. Not a very big one. And it's just true. I saw a picture of Charleston White wearing a suit and tie. I mean, when he was trying to be the community leader and talking very intelligent, because he's not a dumb dude by no means. He is far from dumb. Okay, far from dumb. And he was talking intelligent, and he said, man, nobody paid me no attention. I got me some jewelry and some talking crazy and blah blah blah. And he just took over the internet, man. And I got a lot of respect for him. We got different methods of doing things, but it is what it is, Doc. I get it. My understanding.
Yeah. Doing his thing, man. I want to piggyback off something that we were just talking about, being in it for the long haul. I want to do a lyric dissection. We do a segment every once in a while where I give you a lyric and you give us your opinion on that lyric. And it's a very simple lyric, and it's on a song that you wouldn't expect a lyric like this to be on. But it's an Ice Cube lyric, and simple lyric, 7 words. Life ain't a track meet, it's a marathon. And for anyone who doesn't know, that's from Put Your Back Into It. I could do a Put Your Back Into It. He says, life ain't a track meet, it's a marathon. If it's cemetery where niggas get buried on. So what do you think, Lonzo? Life ain't a track meet, it's a marathon. Can you give me some game on that?
When you're 67 years old and still getting your grind on, you totally understand all about that. You totally understand all that, okay? That's why the penitentiary gets fuller every day. That's why the graveyards get fuller every day. That's why our brothers got to live looking over their shoulders. They try to take a shortcut, and ain't nothing gonna hit you till it's time for it to hit you. I tell people all the time. I tell them all the time. God knew doggone well not to make me rich too early because I would not be doing this shit. Okay, it wouldn't be no easy street if I had a whole bunch of money. I ain't broke, but if I was balling, I wouldn't be doing no easy street. I would have my mindset would be totally different. So when I was talking to a brother yesterday about this restaurant, I said, "Man, you trying to get brothers to come back? Their mind is not here. Their mind is not in the hood no more. You can't expect them to come back and do something. Every once in a while they're gonna do a little something, but they don't feel that there's any debt or there's any need for them to come back because they figure we got it. So for me, I know Lonzo. If Lonzo was had Dre money or Cube money, I might hire somebody to do what I'm doing, but I ain't gonna do it. Okay, because I'm gonna be enjoying my money. Me and my partner was talking about that today. Same thing. I said, bro, you know what? God knows how to give me just enough money to keep me happy and keep me from having to stress. Because if I get too much, I'm gonna be doing some other shit. I know it.
Yeah.
I probably would keep a podcast just on the strength, but a lot of stuff that I do, I deliver my own papers, man. I run the Hub City Legend newspaper in Compton, and I deliver my own papers. Why? One reason why you can't find nobody dependable. That's the first reason why. Two, I like hanging out with people in the community. That's just a weird thing I do. I enjoy going to the various spots. People start looking forward to me when I drop them off, and that makes me feel good, and it gives me an excuse to be in City Hall and see all my various political partners and whatever the case may be. Yeah, I still do shit. I ain't got to do that. I could probably give somebody a couple dollars to do that, but sometimes on a good day, it don't bother me. I do it in a couple hours, and it just something I get. It reminds me of making records. It reminds me of making records. If you ever most people have never made a record before. When you take something from scratch, and when I take them words, take them pictures, send them to my partner, that's like the mastering place. That's like the mastering house. And he sends it to the printer. That's like going to the pressing plant. And when I pick them up, it's just like me going. When I picked them up from McCullough, picked them up from Bill Smith. Now I got to get them to the record stores. I get the same feeling, man. That's just something I experience. And so it for me, that's my feel good thing. I know it sounds, man, what you have to deliver? I'm just oldest paper boy. Sometimes I ain't got nothing else to do. And it's mine. It's mine. I'm not doing it for somebody else because I have to. I'm doing it because it's mine.
I love that, man. We need to document that one time, do a whole series on that, because people don't know that these things, if you don't tell them, they would never know Lonzo's delivering his own newspaper to the address of the person who subscribed to it.
Yeah. Well, hold on. I ain't out there throw them at the car like a window. I got
I know.
Oh, I got about 10.
Yeah.
I got about 25, 30 spots. I just drop them off too. And some of them, people that are waiting on me, sometimes I just drop them at the door. But it don't take a lot of time. And it just reminds me of dropping off records back in the day. And it's the same. I get the same thrill of dropping off my newspaper as I do dropping off records when I was, I don't get it. I've already been paid for the advertising, but it's just something that reminded me of a good time in my life, Doc. And I get my steps in.
There you go. That's even better. Hey, going back to bars and, technically clubs, but the STEM radio says, Lonzo, since you were big in clubs back then, did you by chance ever run across John Tapper from Bar Rescue? Nah, obviously that wasn't on then, but the way he talks, he's big in that scene. No,
I never ran across him before.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know much about the show, but it looks like he did do some stuff at the Troubadour in West Hollywood, Barney's Beanery. You frequented Hollywood back then, right?
Yeah, most of them clubs stink like hell.
Really? Like what? Like nightclubs?
Nightclubs have the most bars, especially older bars, have a stench about them because you got ice melting, you got fruit. It gets stuck in the traps of the ice trays, and they just have this. All of them have the same smell that if it's not it's not cleaned properly, you'll get this. It's like a bar funk. Okay, it's not bad. It's just that you notice it if you've been around bars like I have, and you have to you got to have you got to disinfect them. You got to spray stuff and you got to pour stuff down the drains, and that keeps all them little stuff, keep those little odors, and especially gnats. Keep those little gnats out of from getting in your liquor and shit, because that'll get you shut down faster than a hooker in the dead hooker in the bathroom.
a rotten bottle of milk will get you shut down. That's a classic. I love that line. Hey, Marlon Cozy, shout out Marlon Cozy, says, "Yo, Unc, in your music career and touring, do you have any stories or encounters with the Bar-Kays?"
Yes, I did. One of the first group we toured with Bar-Kays. They had Bar-Kays they're out of Memphis. In fact, well, keep it 100. There's only one original Bar-Kay left. Okay, only one original bar. I was looking for his number. I thought I had his number in my phone. I got his number someplace. It's one original Bar-Kay left, and he missed the plane with Otis Redding in the bar, because the Bar-Kays was Otis Redding's backup band. When that plane went down back in the 60s, everybody was on that plane except for one dude. And he and I had a conversation on tour back in the day, because it was Bar-Kays. We played with Bar-Kays, Cameo, Morris Day at the time, and we were the opening act, but we playing with our idols. So, and all of them are cool. And he just told me how it was, man, to be saved, just to be spared that all his, but it was hard because all his
Much love, Marlon.
Much love, Marlon. What you doing over there? Much love. I see you, Doc.
Dropped a little $4.99. I appreciate you, brother, so much.
Yeah, all his partners died in that plane crash with Otis Redding, man. So it was the new Bar-Kays. They didn't have the same guys. Yeah, they had some of the same looks. But yeah, very little. Like I said, I only dealt with the main guy. I think his name was John or Maurice. I can't think of his name offhand right now, but he ended up working with a record company that I was doing business with back in the day. And we also did some shows together.
The Bar-Kays appeared in the 1973 film documentary Watch Stacks, which we've talked about. Yep. And they were also featured in one of my favorite movies. And I have, where's the record? Oh, it's way over there. I'm not going to grab it. Oh, it's right here. They were featured in the first song in the breaking scene in the movie Breaking. Had to get that. My brother actually got this for me. Original Breaking vinyl right there. Yeah, so the Bar-Kays, man, they had some hits, dude.
Now, all those guys were second generation. All those were got replacement guys, because, like I said, the original Bar-Kays died in the 60s when I was in 5th grade.
Damn, that's an interesting story. Yeah, I'm reading it right here. 1967, Redding and 4 members of the band, Jimmy King, Ronald, they died when their airplane crashed in Lake Monona near Madison, Wisconsin, while attempting to land at Troy Field. Redding and the band were scheduled to play their next concert in Madison. Damn, yeah. It says Ben Kelly, the trumpeter, was the only survivor of the crash. Yep. And the other guy, James Alexander, was on another plane as the plane.
That's his name.
Damn.
Yep, that's his name, James Alexander. Ooh. Yep.
Wow, what a story, James Alexander. To be the only guy who said, "No, I'm not going to get on the plane. I'm good. I'm going to go over here."
Yep, James Alexander was the only one that didn't get on the plane that day, and he's the one that I ended up talking to. Yep.
Damn, dude. That's crazy, man. Let's get some more questions. This one was asked a couple of weeks ago. Did you pay more to have your record put up front at record stores?
Nope.
I guess they're talking about product placement.
They hadn't started that shit yet. They had not started.
Break it
down. Product placement was based on selling your sales, your counter sales. If you had a hot record, they put you up front automatically. That product placement shit started with Master P. Master P was putting out so many records at one time. He was taking up the whole rack. If you went to was it warehouse, any record store, was it Best Buy? Was it Best Buy? I think it was Best Buy.
So Warehouse, Sam Ash, all those. Yep.
but when Master P dropped No Limit came out, No Limit would make a record a week damn near.
Mhm.
And what happened was he had so many records out, there wasn't enough space for everything for his all his catalog and everybody else. Okay, so they started this product placement thing, and for a while it was real cool because he had all his records had all his covers had a certain style, and people would just buy it based on the style, and sometimes it wasn't all that great. So now you got all this space that's been taken up by records that ain't really selling, and you losing prime space. So now they start charging for it. So whether the main thing is because if the record don't sell, they just gave you space for nothing. So now they literally start renting you space for your product. And if you have all these records, that's fine. If they don't sell, you still owe us money. That was started with No Limit.
Man, they changed the game. No Limit, Master P changed the game. Suge Knight and Death Row, they changed the game. Who are some people, entrepreneurs, music entrepreneurs, people in the business, artists who quote changed the game before the Master P's and the Death Row records and things like that?
Ruthless did. Ruthless.
Yeah, break it down.
When Ruthless would drop a record 4 or 5 weeks before they dropped the record, every bus ad in the area had to coming soon. Every bus bench in the hood, every bus bench. They didn't do a lot of billboards. They did bus benches mostly, and that was their thing. They would promote their records like movies. They would promote them in advance like movies. So by the time they got ready to drop, shit, they ship 1 million copies. They would ship 1 million copies, and people start looking for the name Ruthless before they look for the artist. They had a great reputation. Used to be a time when record labels were so strong, people would buy the records not even hearing them. If you had something on Motown, people would buy it without even listening to it. They wouldn't. Sometimes they would just pick it. Oh, that's Motown. Okay, cool. Then they flipped over to Sound of Philadelphia. If you like that disco sound, shit. Same thing with Def Jam had that same situation in the hip hop era. If it was on Def Jam, people was gonna scoop it up, no problem. Ozzy Brothers had their own label, and if when the Ozzy Brothers drop, you just go pick it up. Ozzy Brothers, Earth, Wind and Fire, Dramatics. If you were a Dramatic fan, you didn't care what the sound. You just go get it. Somebody had to tell you it was whack. Okay, you had to realize it was whack on your own, and they don't have the Ozzy Brothers or Dramatics, Earth, Wind and Fire don't have a lot of whack albums. You got to understand, back in the day, when you were an artist, the producers were very competitive. So what I mean by that is they just didn't go for 1 or 2 singles. They trying to make at least, you got 22 minutes per side on a record, and which means you probably can put maybe 3 to 4, maybe 5 if they short songs. They trying to get you at least 3 to 3 on one side that's banging. You didn't have the same luxury that you had today of skipping. You know, we had 8 tracks and we had 4 tracks. Y'all know shit about 4 tracks. Okay, y'all know shit about 4 tracks. Somebody I was talking to just last week, we talked about 4 tracks in our cars. Okay, I'll tell you about that in a minute. But for the most part, it wasn't until 8 tracks came out where you can actually flip around. Okay, up until then, you had to put your needle on the record and let it play. And who's going to get to go pick it up? And no, nobody want to do all that shit. So you got to hear the whole album, and the whole album better be banging. The last cut might be the weakest cut on the album, because the album, when you do an album back in the day, it was programmed a certain way. The hit would usually be the first song, and something else just as bad would be right behind that, or something else that would complement that, but maybe a little bit different. The last song might be your weakest song on either side. That's real talk. So even when the 8 track flipped over, your first song was a banger. Your first song would be a banger. And that's how they would program, because once the song was made, they would program the album so it would have a certain flow to it.
You know what? Let's dive into more of the album aspect of things. You know, skits in albums were big back in the 80s and 90s, mainly with hip hop, but you know, R&B and other artists did it as well. But what are your thoughts on skits on albums? And do you think is it safe to say that's pretty much a lost art form?
It's lost art form now, man. It used to be a lot of fun to do skits. But skits was when you saw the personality of the artist. That's when the personality would show. You know, in between the records, they would do something funny or something that's gonna set the record up. And they don't do that no more, man. You know, they don't. That's not something, because you had to produce that. You had to produce that just like you produced the album. You had to come up with the voices, the sound effects, the music, you know, and that just, you know, it's not something they do no more, man.
Yeah, those were fun. Those were always fun. The Chronic album is probably half that whole dang album is half skits, half music. But
Yeah.
I just, that's one that I would point to, is just having fun skits. They had the $25 sack pyramid. They had all these silly. They had Snoop saying, "I want to be a motherfucking gangster." So like all that stuff. You better ask somebody. Like all that stuff was fun, man. But it's done. Yeah, it's done, because people just want the 2-minute song. And that's one thing I'm noticing too, Lonzo. Our songs are getting shorter and shorter. I'm seeing songs 1:50, 2 minutes and 12 seconds. You know what I mean? Because this generation just wants that boom, boom, boom. Back then, the song 3:30, 4 minutes, 4 minutes and 12 seconds.
They don't have nothing to say, man. They ain't got nothing to say. You only go talk about drugs so long, talk about sex so long, talk about gang banging so long, and they don't do hooks no more. Hook is not even that's not even a part of the song structure anymore. They just got a verse or two, say something, and they start fading to black. Nobody does hooks. Everybody does. I was listening to some guys brought me a tape not long ago, and the dude was spitting. I said, when you gonna breathe, motherfucker? When you gonna breathe? When do you take time? Because see, the problem with a lot of artists and why songs don't last as long, can't nobody sing them but you. Can't nobody sing them but you. That's your song and your feelings, your emotions. And yes, you may be spitting your ass off, but can't nobody say it but you. A good song hits you with 16 bars, maybe 24 bars, but give you a hook and give you something you can sing. Even if you don't memorize the words, you can sing along with the hook.
Do you know where the 16/8 thing came in? And for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, 16 bars would be a typical rap verse, then an 8-bar hook or chorus, then 16-bar verse, 8-bar hook. And it's pretty much been a structure in hip hop and music for as long as I can remember. But has that always been a thing? And when did that start? What made that start? Do you know?
That's been around for quite some time. I mean, depending on the type of music, you may have a 4-bar verse, you know, and then the songs could be all hook. You know, it all depends on the type of song you want to do. A lot of songs are, especially old school songs, are based around the hook, and they throw a verse in there just to give you a break to get back to the hook. You know, sometimes you have what they call a chant song. It's like a chant. You know, let me think of something. Egypt is a place to be. Egypt. You know, Egypt. That was a chant. Okay, and that's a style. So everybody has their own interpretation of how they want to produce their songs. There's no right or wrong way to make a song. It's just some songs are much more memorable if they're in a certain format. That's like a jazz song. You ever listen to a jazz record and you can't follow that motherfucker for shit? But you bobbing your head, you don't know when the break is gonna be. It's jazz, it's impromptu. And sometimes that's how a lot of guys write their song. They write something that they feel and they spit it for 2.5 minutes, and we out of here.
Let's start wrapping it up with this one. Stem Radio says, hey, I've got a question. What was the reason for that beep tone in the beginning and ending of cassettes back in the day? I'm not sure I remember that. I remember the ending maybe having a beep, but do you know what he's talking about? The beginning, I don't remember any beep at all in any cassettes I ever had.
Sometimes that beep tone would be for mastering purposes. That was for you to hold on. That was for you to set your levels on the heads on your masters. It was a mastering technique that a lot usually would get cut out. But you had to align your heads to that way your music would be the same tone all the way across. It'd be the same volume, but it was a volume. Some of it was the same tone, yeah. Some of it was the same tone. But a lot of the time it was also to set the volume for the whole thing, so that your music your songs didn't have different variations in the volume. Because every song ain't made the same way. Same studio, same producer, and sometimes based on how you set your certain song, your certain instruments, your volume may increase or may drop. So they would put put a tone on there, and the tone would get you a chance to alignment tone, so that way you can make everything one even volume.
What is a bin loop duplicator? Is that the same thing?
Who?
I'm just reading something. It says bin loop duplicator to tell the cassette duplication that it was the end of the tape. No, never mind.
Yeah, because cassettes are made from a reel to reel, and they record them at the same time. Well, they record them at the same time, and they cut them, and they load them. There's two ways to make cassettes. You can make them cassette at a time. Then professionally, they have them they have a big ass reel, and they record them both sides at one time. And then they load them, cut them, and put them in the cassette. At the end of the thing is the bottom in the cassette is clear tape, and they will load them, cut them, and put them in there and ship them up. Everything is done at one swoop. Cassette is the fastest. CDs are actually faster to make it. They just press them damn things. But cassettes were pretty fast also. Takes about 10 seconds to make a cassette.
Okay. Damn, that hour flew by, man. Before we end, I'm going to ask everybody to hit that like button if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And if you're a new subscriber, we do appreciate you joining the channel. We hope you stick around. And also, Lonzo does a show every Wednesday, usually at 6 o'clock as well, called The Mentally Show. I hope I'm saying that right. I always feel like I messed it up. Yeah, Mentally Show, where they discuss mental issues and a lot of very important grown-ass men enlightenment type stuff. So make sure you hit your notification button so you are notified every time we drop on this channel, man. There's a lot of good stuff. Any last words before you hit him with that outro, Lonzo?
Man, I'll be in Sacramento. I just got booked for Sacramento. I'll be there in January the 8th. I'm doing a Thursday show, doing a screening, documentary screening, and a book signing in Sacramento at Oak Park Theater, along with at the bookstore also next door. So I'll be there for 3 days in January, 6th, 7th, and 8th. The event is 7th, 8th, and 9th. The event's actually on the 8th. I'm coming in Wednesday morning, doing my thing on Thursday. I'm out of there Friday. So yeah.
Got a lot going on, man. Make sure you stay tuned. He's also on Instagram. So N.W.A. Stories with Lonzo on Instagram. I mean, Alonzo Williams on Facebook. He's an open book, man.
Hey.
Yep.
All right, folks. You ready to go?
Hit him, man.